200-pound Boerboels were 6 days from being put down. Nobody in 3 counties would take 400 pounds of aging, grieving dog whose owner had just died alone. Then his daughter, a woman who had not spoken to him in 9 years, got the call. And what a $40 camera recorded inside that old farmhouse at 3 in the morning is the only reason Dana Marsh is alive to be angry at him today. Dana Marsh was 39 and had built an entire life out of not meeting anyone. She taught 7th grade 2 towns over and had not seen her father, Walt, since the argument that ended everything 9 years ago. So when Loudoun County Animal Services called to say Walt had died in his sleep and left behind 2 Boerboels no one could place, her first instinct was to hang up. The woman on the phone, Rhonda, was gentle but blunt. They're 8 and 9 years old, 200 pounds each, and they've stopped eating since he passed. If nobody claims them by Friday, we have no choice. Dana drove out to the farmhouse outside Middleburg, Virginia, telling herself she was only going to say goodbye to a house, not to a man. The farmhouse smelled like her childhood and her worst memories at the same time. And in the corner of the living room, pressed against a worn leather armchair that still held the shape of a man who was gone, sat 2 enormous Boerboels. Fawn, wrinkled, huge, gray creeping into their muzzles. They didn't bark, they lifted their heads, looked at Dana with the same tired brown eyes her father had, then looked back at the empty chair, waiting for someone who would never sit in it again. Rhonda said it quietly, "They won't leave that chair." Dana meant to say no. She had every reason to say no. Instead, she heard herself say, "I'll take them. Their names are Gus and Roscoe. I see you're still here, but you still haven't subscribed. And after 2 dogs like Gus and Roscoe, sitting 6 days by an empty chair, refusing to eat, waiting for a man who was never coming back, that one tap really does mean something. Hit subscribe and stay with them, because what this camera caught next is the part you will never forget." The first weeks in that farmhouse were the loneliest of Dana's life, and she had competition for that title. Gus and Roscoe wanted nothing to do with her. They ate only when she left the room. They slept against her father's chair, not near her. And every time she walked in, she saw the same disappointment in their eyes. She was not him. She almost drove them back twice. What stopped her was the camera. She had clipped a cheap $40 pet camera to a shelf, aimed at the living room, mostly to make sure 2 200-pound dogs weren't destroying a house she now had to sell. But when she checked it from her classroom at lunch, what she saw made her forget the students filing in. Every night at almost exactly 3 a.m., Gus and Roscoe rose together, crossed the dark living room, and lay down before her father's empty armchair, side by side, facing it, for hours. 400 pounds of dog keeping a vigil for a man who was ashes in a box on the mantel. Dana watched a week of those clips at her desk and cried in a way she had not cried at the actual funeral. She started sleeping at the farmhouse instead of her apartment. She started leaving her father's flannel shirt on the chair so the dogs would have his smell. And slowly, without her noticing when, the vigil changed. One night, Gus got up from the chair at 3 a.m., walked down the hall, and lay down outside her bedroom door instead. A week later, Roscoe joined him. The 2 dogs that had been waiting for a dead man had started, quietly, to watch over the living one. By the 2nd month, the house had a rhythm again. Gus, the bigger one, drooled a lake by the back door and carried Dana's shoe from room to room, like a job he took seriously. Roscoe leaned. He would press all 200 pounds against her legs while she graded papers, until she gave up and sat on the floor with him. For the first time in 9 years, Dana talked out loud in her own home, to 2 dogs who listened like it mattered. She told them things she never told her father, that she was sorry, that she wished she had answered the last 3 calls he made, the ones she let go to voicemail and never listened to. Gus would rest his enormous head on her knee, and Roscoe would sigh, and somehow it helped. What she did not know was that the old farmhouse her father had let fall apart around him had a secret in its walls, decades of frayed, overloaded wiring behind the plaster, and that on a freezing night in February, it was going to kill her in her sleep. She did not know the 2 dogs keeping watch outside her door were about to become the only thing standing between her and that. It started just after 3 a.m. on a Sunday, in the wall behind the kitchen. No flames yet, just heat and smoke, thick and black and silent, sliding under the bedroom door while Dana slept. Smoke does not wake you. It does the opposite. It pulls you deeper, quiets your brain, and most people who die in house fires never open their eyes at all. Dana did not stir, but Gus and Roscoe were already up. The camera on the shelf caught all of it before it melted. At 3:14 a.m., both dogs stopped at the bedroom door, hackles up. Then Gus threw his full 200 pounds against it, again and again, until it banged open. Dana awoke to chaos, coughing, blind, the air like hot tar in her lungs, her head already swimming toward unconsciousness. She could not see the door. She tried to lie back down, which is what smoke makes you want to do, and that is when Roscoe clamped his jaws around the sleeve of her arm and pulled her off the bed onto the floor, where the air was barely breathable. Gus grabbed the hem of her shirt. Together, 400 pounds of dog dragged a grown woman across the floor, through a hallway she could not see, toward a door they'd memorized in a house no longer safe. She crawled because they made her crawl. When she stalled, they shoved. When she turned the wrong way, they blocked her. They pushed her out the front door and down the porch steps into the snow, and only once she was breathing clean, freezing air on the frozen grass did the two of them stop pulling. 90 seconds later, the kitchen windows blew out. The Middleburg volunteer firefighters said the wiring was decades past dead. They said with that much smoke in that deep a sleep, she had maybe 3 minutes, and that nothing human would have woken her. "Something got you out," one of them said. "What was it?" Dana looked at Gus and Roscoe, sitting in the snow beside her, paws raw and singed, fur reeking of smoke, watching her the way they used to watch an empty chair. "It was them," she whispered. "My father's dogs. The same two Boerboels that had 6 days to live, the same 400 pounds nobody in 3 counties would take, the dogs everyone called too old, too big, too much. They had spent every night grieving the man who raised her, and when it came down to it, they walked back into the smoke for the daughter he never got to make things right with." Dana rebuilt the farmhouse instead of selling it. She and Gus and Roscoe still live there. The dogs are 8 and 9 now, gray in the face, slower on the stairs, and every night at 3 a.m. they still get up. Only now they lie down outside her bedroom door on purpose, and she has stopped thinking of it as sad. When Rhonda shared the story, Loudoun County Animal Services was flooded with calls, and 11 senior dogs, the gray-faced ones nobody stops for, went home that month. Here is the thing nobody tells you about the ones the world gives up on. Sometimes what your father could never say to you, he leaves in the care of 2 dogs who will drag you out of a burning house at 3 in the morning to make sure you get the chance he never took. Dana never got to forgive Walt to his face, but every morning now she wakes up because of the last thing he left her. So tell me, did Dana rescue Gus and Roscoe from that shelter, or did her father's 2 dogs rescue her? Tell me in the comments. And if a dog ever pulled you out of the dark in any way that counts, say their name below.